Good morning. It's Tuesday, y'all. The 7th of January, 2025. I said 2024 a couple times last couple videos. So 2025. We are one full week, 7 days into the new year. And I hope you had a good Monday. Monday was Monday as Mondays, y'all. For me, I went back to work yesterday and I was trying to get back into the groove, doing some training stuff for work and things. And yeah, it was a interesting day yesterday. Not all my training got uploaded, so I had some idle time. So I was trying to do some other stuff with work that I could do. But at the same time, it's Tuesday, another day. This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And lots of the Midwest, upper Midwest, and I got some snow yesterday. And winter's here, but less than 3 months till spring, folks. Less than 3 months, 2.5 months till spring. Can't wait. Somewhere around there. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to spring. But you know what could possibly happen this year in springtime, which would be great, would be the rapture. The rapture where God takes out and resurrects the Christians, get us out of here so he can come down and do his thing that he's got to do for that great tribulation to set up his get ready to set up his kingdom, which is coming. And it could be this year, the rapture. And speaking of rapture, we're going to start talking about the rapture over the next couple of days. Probably just today. Depends on how fast we get through this. And I don't want to rush it. But there are four views of the Christian rapture. Three, somewhere around there. I don't know. Four views about the Christian rapture. And then the rapture is where we're changed and then caught up, and that the dead in Christ shall rise. So there's four views on the actual rapture. One, it's a pre-tribulation rapture, which is what I believe. I believe before the great tribulation starts, that God's going to rapture his church out of here. We're going to go up. Moses and Elijah are going to come down. They're going to preach for 3.5 years on the streets of Jerusalem. God is going to be pouring out his wrath physically on this earth. And during that time, he's going to be doing some things to draw the Jews back to him. That's why it's called the time of Jacob's trouble. Jacob, which was changed to Israel, Jacob was the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. So it's called the time of Jacob's trouble, not the time of the Christians' trouble, but Jacob. Why? Because it's going to be God drawing his people back to him. Now, this could have happened back in Stephen's day and the apostles' early days, but it didn't. Why? Well, no, they rejected him. They rejected him as a nation, and God turned to us for the next 2,000 years. God has been dealing with us, and that 2,000 years since the resurrection of Christ, man, oh man, oh man, that 2,000 years, thankfully, we get a chance to get to heaven. Had the Jews accepted him, the Great Tribulation would have started shortly after Acts chapter 7, and then that would have ended. The time of Jacob's trouble would have ended. Then the millennial reign would have already happened, and we wouldn't even be here. We'd be off in a new heaven and new earth and off into eternity. But God's paused for that reason, and he turned to the Gentiles. And understandably, he turned to us, if you read Romans chapter 11, to provoke them to jealousy. That's why we have salvation. And the opportunity to go to heaven is because to provoke them to jealousy. But as you see, with this world, we're slowly turning all our attention back to Israel. Now, I know in America right now, the focus is on President Trump being inaugurated here in a couple of weeks. But whether President Trump, whether he's the president, God is still king. God is still on the throne. God is still coming back. The rapture is still going to happen. All these things, it is what it is. Honestly, my opinion is President Trump may have gotten reelected strictly to help the nation of Israel. That may be why he got reelected. I don't know. It's just a possibility. But that being said, God is turning his eyes away from the church. That's what the Laodicean church age is all about right now. We are turning, as a church, our back to God. We're not letting God in. We're not letting sound Bible preaching and teaching be preached and taught in the churches. People have been given over to itching ears. They don't want to hear sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. They shall turn their ears away from the truth. What? And get deceived and hear lies of comfort and things like that that just aren't biblically true. So that's how I know the rapture is close. What's going on in Israel? What's going on with the church? And it's just a matter of time. It could be this year, it could be within the next couple of years that rapture happens. Very well could be. I could be off though. But we know that it's getting closer and closer. And the rapture of the church is a pre-tribulation rapture. Now, there's a second teaching of the rapture. That second teaching of the rapture is a mid-tribulation rapture, where there's a period of 7 years. And the 7-year tribulation, and the church has to go through the first 3.5 years of the tribulation. Now, I've said my thoughts before on this whole 7-year tribulation. Okay, I'm not going to go into that, but there is a school of thought out there that the church has to go through the first 3.5 years of the 7-year tribulation, and they get raptured in the middle of it. That's what there's belief in there, and there's a lot of different reasons out there that they believe this, but it's not true. There's the other thing. If it's a tribulation, why is there 3.5 years of peace and calmness? If there's a 7-year tribulation, I'll leave that there. But there's a view out there that they believe the church goes for the first 3.5, then we go up, Moses and Elijah come down, and then it's the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, so that's another view. All right. Then there is a view of a post-tribulation rapture, where the church goes through all 7 years of the tribulation. And at the end, he raptures us out of here. Now, there is a post-tribulation rapture. There is a post-tribulation rapture, but it's not Christians. It's not the church. It's a specific group of people that get raptured at the end of the tribulation. So that one, not true. Second one, mid-tribulation rapture, not true. And then there is a amillennialist view. Amillennials believe there is no tribulation and there's no rapture. There's nothing. They believe that the rapture and the tribulation already happened. It already happened in AD 70. That there's no coming future tribulation at all. So that is the last view, and it's very false. Why? I can sum it up pretty quickly from the Bible. At the end of the tribulation, when Christ comes back to wipe out the Antichrist army and cast the Antichrist and the false prophet into the lake of fire, when he comes back, it talks about blood to the horse's bridle. And that happens in the Valley of Megiddo. So there's going to be approximately 6 feet, that's average height to the horse's bridle, give or take a few feet. There's going to be a 6 foot high, give or take a few feet, puddle of blood, lake of blood, really, for 120 to 180 miles. And that happens in the Valley of Megiddo when he comes back. And there's been no time in history of any such thing where Christ came back and he wiped out the Antichrist army and threw the Antichrist into the lake of fire. So that is a false view. The only view of the 4 is the pre-tribulation rapture. Pre-tribulation church rapture. So where do we get that view from? Well, we're probably not going to get there today because I spent some time breaking those things down. But it's important to know that these are popular teachings. They're still out there. I still run across guys at the truck stop sometimes that believe that the church goes through the tribulation. Why would anybody want to go through the tribulation? You're out of your mind. That tribulation is going to be God pouring out his wrath on this earth. The book of Revelation, here's another thing that proves that there is no post-tribulation rapture of the church, and that also that the tribulation has not happened. The events that happen in the book of Revelation are crazy. You're talking about all these weird creatures coming up and coming down and wreaking havoc on this earth. You're talking about a giant asteroid or something coming down and striking the earth. That's an angel, warm word, but that's another thing. You have all these weird events that are going to happen during the tribulation, that there's no recorded fact of this from 80, 70, or even before that to now that any of these events have actually happened. So, my view is very firm on a pre tribulation rapture. There's going to become a time that Christ is going to part the clouds and he's going to say, kids, come on up. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. So I just want to give you the four views of the tribulation. There is a pre-tribulation rapture, which is what I believe. There's a mid-tribulation rapture, which I don't believe. There's a post-tribulation rapture, which is biblical, but it's not the church. It's not the church. That is something we will look at when we continue further on these 7 resurrections. Then there's a view of no rapture and no tribulation. So the mid-tribulation rapture of the church is wrong. The post-tribulation view or teaching on the rapture is wrong, of the church, that is, of the church. I'm very specific, of the church. And then the no rapture or tribulation is wrong as well. So we'll dive more into that tomorrow. Just a springboard, y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless y'all, and I will talk to you tomorrow, Lord willing.